All right, today we are diving deep into one of the weirdest, most unsettling creatures in the entire animal kingdom. It's something that sounds like it was dreamed up for a horror movie, but I promise you, it is 100% real. So let's just start with a wild question. Do you think it's possible for a parasite to not just feed off its host, but to actually remove one of its organs and then take its place? Functionally replace it? It sounds completely impossible, right? Well, let's get into it. I want you to meet Cymothoa exigua. Now, it's a type of isopod, which is a crustacean. It kind of looks like a pill bug or a wood louse you might find under a rock. But its nickname, well, that tells a much, much darker story. It's called the tongue-eating louse. And believe me, it has earned that name. The best way to understand this little creature is to think of its entire life cycle as a kind of biological heist. I mean, it is a full-on infiltration and takeover mission. So how does it pull off this heist? Okay, first, a tiny juvenile louse swims into an unsuspecting fish, usually some kind of snapper, right through the gills. Then it crawls up into the mouth and uses these seriously strong, hook-like claws to latch on tight to the base of the fish's tongue. Now, here's the gruesome part. It doesn't actually eat the tongue. Instead, it digs in and severs the blood vessels that lead to it, completely cutting off the blood supply. Without blood, the tongue just withers away, dies, and eventually falls off. But this is where the story gets really, really bizarre. You'd think that would be the end for the fish, right? But it's not. The fish doesn't die. And for the louse, the main event is just getting started. The louse literally anchors its own body to the little stub of a tongue that's left behind. And then the fish just starts using the parasite as a brand new, fully functional prosthetic tongue. It's incredible. You know, a fish's tongue is there to help funnel food down its throat. Well, now the louse does that job. The parasite has every reason to keep its host alive, so while it feeds on the fish's blood and mucus, it also helps the fish keep on living, eating, and breathing like normal. And look, this isn't just some wild theory. This is a well-documented scientific fact. Researchers Brusca and Gilligan wrote about this way back in 1983, saying the parasite effectively serves as the fish's new tongue. This is observed, proven biology. And that right there is what makes this creature so unique. I mean, think about it. Out of all the parasites in the entire world, this is the only one we know of that doesn't just damage or live in an organ. It actively, functionally replaces it, becoming a living, breathing prosthetic. But the story is not over. As if replacing a tongue wasn't strange enough, the way this louse reproduces is, you guessed it, just as fascinatingly weird. Okay. To get this next part, you have to know this term, protandrous hermaphrodite. It sounds complicated, but it's pretty simple. It just means an animal that starts its life as a male and then, later on, changes into a female. And yeah, all of these lice start out as males. So here's how it all plays out. A young male louse swims into a fish and just kind of hangs out in the gills waiting. If it's the only louse there and another one shows up, one of them, usually the first one or the bigger one, gets a promotion. It grows much larger, past 10 millimeters, and transforms into a female. She is the one who then makes the journey to the tongue to perform the heist. And then she can mate with all the smaller males that are still hanging out in the gills, eventually releasing her babies out into the water to find their own fish and start the whole grim cycle all over again. Now, I know what you're probably thinking right about now. This is all very creepy and fascinating, but what does any of this have to do with us? Could you be swimming in the ocean and one of these things decides to set up shop in your mouth? Could you find one in your fish dinner? Basically, is this something we should actually be worried about? And the answer, thankfully, is a very clear, very simple no. Let's just put this to rest. These parasites cannot infect humans. They just can't. Now, they have been found in fish that we buy at the market, like red snapper, but they are not poisonous. You can eat one and nothing will happen. In fact, there was a whole lawsuit where a person claimed they were poisoned by one, but the case got dropped because, well, they're completely harmless to consume. The absolute worst thing that could happen is if you handled a live one, it might give you a tiny pinch. That's it.
So, what's the real takeaway here? Cymothoa exigua isn't some monster from a sci fi movie, though it did inspire one. It's really just a perfect example of how creative and, yeah, how brutal evolution can be. It shows us that the rules of nature are so much more complex and wonderfully strange than we could ever dream up.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? If nature can cook up a creature that becomes a living, functional tongue for another animal, what other mind-blowing, absolutely gruesome wonders are still out there just waiting for us to find them?